Welcome to Tanisha's Locks Beauty Tips and Potpourri. Hello, beautiful people. How are you all doing? I hope that you are doing well. Hope you're feeling peaceful, productive, and prosperous. Today we're going to be talking about an important topic. I've touched on this kind of quite a bit within the last maybe 8 months, but you all are reaching out to me with more of these kinds of problems, not only on the channel, but for those of you that contact me personally. Just so you know, I don't like to give out personal advice about locks any more than what I talk about on my channel. So I steer clear of that. So just know that. But you're reaching out to me, a lot of you, or I'm hearing in the community this issue about losing locks. So I feel like I really want to delve into that a little bit and talk about that a bit, because I feel I have what are some real inclinations about why this is happening, how it happens, and maybe some simple things that you can begin to become more aware of to help out with that. Before I delve into that, I want to take about a minute and a half to talk to you a little bit about I Am Melanin Magic. Many of you here on the channel already know about I Am Melanin Magic because you've been ordering the oil since almost a year ago, when I began to share a proprietary new and improved version of this oil on the channel, and many of you have been getting amazing results. And I don't think, for those of you that I haven't heard from, it's because you haven't been getting results. I'd like to think it's because you are busy. One thing I can tell you about the oil is I suggest twice a week. The more you use it, though, the faster your hair is going to grow in between retightenings. The stronger your hair is going to be, but at a minimum, I say use it twice a week. Ease your way in. Either way, the I Am Melanin Magic website is just that, IamMelaninMagic.com. For those of you who want to order the oil from there, you can do that. If you want to continue to order from me right now, I'm still fulfilling orders, and I'm a happy camper doing it, and I love that sort of personal touch. Also is the Bartholin's Cyst and Boil Serum, which is effective within, I can't even tell you, 1.5 2 days tops. Within a few hours you start to get relief. For those of you who get those painful boils and cysts down in the alongside the vaginal, not in the vaginal canal, not in the vagina, but alongside the area where the hair can grow, a lot of times there's only been invasive procedures that have been assistance with this, and people can suffer for this and have difficulty walking and going to work for 2 to 3 weeks. This is miraculous. I thank God for this. This was inspired. You guys know I dealt with adult acne throughout my entire 30s, those dirty 30s. And so that's where this came from. This has been something that's been in my family for a while that I just started sharing. I make no guarantees with any of these products because all of us have different needs. All of us have different skin types. But this has been very effective at not only addressing the acne, but helping with blemishes. Although if you have additional help that you want with the blemishes, this Fade Magic is something that you can explore. The anti-aging serum is what I've been using now. I guess it's been almost maybe a year and a half or a year and a few months, or coming up on a year. I'm coming up on 50 in about 2-3 months, September. And so I'm getting a little more concerned about my face and my skin, a little bit more than I have been in terms of timelessness and agelessness. I dealt more with the acne situation, but this is really good. It helps my skin to feel very dewy. It also helps regenerate cells. It's got a lot of antioxidants. It helps to hold in the moisture. It helps to heal your skin of different imbalances and so forth. And I feel like, although I've modified this blend, I experienced some breakout. My skin is extremely sensitive, so I have to be very careful what I put on it. I went back to the older serum, and I'm finding that this is just the perfect blend of oils that are non-comedogenic, don't break my skin out, but also allow me to have not necessarily a wet look, but a dewy look, and it makes my skin just feel really good. So that's something I'm proud of. And this is the Magical Hair Growth Serum. This is, when you see the commercial I'm going to put on the channel regarding the hair growth and from hair loss for people that have had major hair loss, this is what worked on them. But this is not targeted for people that are experiencing thinning, hair loss, alopecia, and all of that. But this has worked very successfully in stimulating, for the few people that I've been following, getting hair to grow back in areas around the edges and in areas where they have not had hair or have been getting injections and so forth. This has worked. So this is the Die Hard oil that does it all, but this is the one that targets specifically longer term hair loss issues. You need to use this anywhere from 2 to 4 months before you decide whether or not this works for you. But either way, you can go to IamMelaninMagic.com. Melanin as in MELANIN, magic, MAGIC, no K.com. So let's talk about this thing with losing these locks. First and foremost, if you remember nothing else that I tell you, all right, if you start losing your locks, I don't care where you are in the journey, you could be at 2 months. Okay, I've gotten that. I've gotten 4 months. I've gotten 10 years, 15 years from feedback. You have to realize that you have to do something different and fast. It's just that simple. You cannot keep rolling along, doing your retightenings the same way, managing your hair care routine with your washings the same way, grooming your hair the same way. You've got to stop. You've got to take stock of what the potential issues could be, and you got to jump on 2 or 3 things that are a part of your all the time hair routine to get a handle on what's going on. And you've got to start. I would say first and foremost, y'all know how serious I am, and I talk about this all the time. You got to start with what's happening with your retightenings. I'm going to say this, y'all, until I go to the grave. And that is the retightenings, the quality of them, the way in which they're done, the number of rotations, the condition of your hair before you get them, what you're doing with your hair after them. All of the above plays a serious role in the degradation of your hair health, or in the ability for your hair to maintain its strength, its integrity, and its follicle health. You have to analyze that routine. You've got to know, are you detangling your hair before you sit down for the retightening? Are you doing anything with your hair before you even go in, so that by the time your loctician gets on your hair, she's not moving through tangles? Or is she washing your hair? Are you washing your hair? You've got to get on that whole routine. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I also want to talk, as it relates to the retightening, about moisture. If someone is retightening your hair and they're not spritzing any type of water on your hair or something to detangle it, Melanin Magic works great as a detangler. All right, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to give a shout out for that. Somebody said something about me doing that last month, I think, on the channel, and my response was, you have any number of millions of channels that you can watch. If you have a problem with me talking about a product that I stand by, that I know that works, that I've been using on my hair for years and years and years, and anything that I've developed that I've been using in my community or with my family, then you don't need to be on the channel. If you're concerned about hair health, then I'm going to talk about the things that are a part of my frame of reference that I know work on hair and have worked on my hair. All right, because I know what the condition of my hair was early in my journey. I know what the condition of my hair was before locks, and I know, with all of the multitude of things that I've done to my hair, the several and many times of dyeing, the picking the let, the taking out certain locks, doing all these different things, my hair has maintained its integrity and is still holding solid, and I know that it is because of this oil blend. But you need to make sure that when your hair is being retightened, that whoever is retightening, including if it's you are using something to make the hair pliable and flexible. When the hair is dry, it pops a lot easier. All right? You need to determine if your retightening schedule is too often or it's not often enough. You guys know I wait 10 or 11 weeks. That works for me. Okay? But I also am always checking my locks. I got to admit, I got all type of retightening schedules in here now because of something I did a month and a half ago. And I still have to make 2 more weeks before I get my next retightening. So I have retightened here. I did some other stuff. But generally speaking, I wait between 10 and 11 weeks before I get my retightenings. But you better believe I look at my locks and I look at them. I look at the quality of them when I need to determine the state of my hair, and I also look at if there's any tangling or any marrying. All right, I've been doing that for some time, and I've concluded that my hair can withstand a 10 or 11 week cycle. So anyone that tells me I need to do 6, 7, or 8 weeks, I'm not really going to be listening to them, because my locks would not be this healthy and this thick if at this point in my journey I couldn't withstand that type of schedule. Now, that is likely to change because our hair is changing, our needs are changing, everything that we do changes, and it is important to vary your routine with certain things that you do even when they are working. Sometimes it's important to allow for a little bit of flexibility, all right? But that routine, you may be retightening too much, you may be going too long between retightenings, but I'm going to tell you, based on my experience and the feedback that I've gotten, anything under 7 weeks you need to really be watching out for. Even if it means you have to take your locks and you have to take a look at them. Okay, if you notice a little tangle like this little piece here, now this is usually the strongest part of my hair. Okay, not this, but this area is the strongest part of my hair. This is where the hair is most fine, so it's stronger there. But I have a little tangle right here, okay? But even if it means you go through your locks and you just make sure that they're good and in the clear and nothing is married, and that your part is straight, and that you can run your hands through it and not have an issue, you got to be doing that. You got to know if getting them retightened too often is a problem, because no matter how you look at it, it does produce hair trauma even when you don't realize it. There's tension on the hair that you need to be aware of. The third thing, when we talk about losing locks, you got to look at your overall hair health before you even started with locks, and since you've had locks. Has your hair thinned out since you had locks? What was the state of your hair before you had locks? Was your hair always kind of, struggling? Was it always thick in one area, thinner in another area? What was the state that you were already in? And you have to make your choices also based upon that. There are some things that you can influence with your hair in terms of its strength, in terms of its overall follicle health, in terms of moisture levels. There are some things that we can do to influence some of those things. But you got to know, if you already had thinning edges in the first place and you're going to get Sisterlocks, then you better be all over those edges in between retightenings, and you better be very serious about them when you sit down to get your retightenings. You cannot have already had thinning edges or weak edges. All right, weak is an issue because you can remediate weak edges. There are things that you can do to build strength there that you need to be doing. And I'm not even going to lie. All right, whether you're doing that or not, you need to find something that's going to work. But the issue is, if you had thinning edges before locks, you're going to have a problem with them once you get the locks. Okay, I don't care what people tell you. Not because of Sisterlocks in and of itself, because it's a wonderful framework. Okay, it's a wonderful institution for your hair. Not institution necessarily, but institution for your hair. But the pulling, the tugging, the retightenings, the excessive styling that people do that they feel like they can't live without. Okay, all of those things are going to put pressure on your edges. The way you sleep at night, how you pull your hair back, the washings, all of that. It may be a different type of stress, but nonetheless, it's going to be some tension on your hair. All right, Sisterlocks as a whole should strengthen your hair. It should make it healthier. But there's so many other mitigating factors that we don't talk about. Those are the things that you need to really, really, really be paying attention to. Vulnerable areas clearly be in this area here. Many of you have issues in this area. You may find when your loctician is doing your hair, there's a lot more tension in this area because this area is thicker. But you may find this area being more tender and the locks being thinner, and this is where you may hear the cracking and the popping, or this is where you may have more of the soreness. These are the kinds of things you have to observe, because these are the kinds of things you have to have conversations with your loctician about. And if you can't get satisfactory feedback, then you may need to really consider doing your own locks or finding you someone. This is going to sound crazy, but some of y'all going to understand this. Someone who's quite timid to do your retightenings. A person's personality is not just how they speak. It's how they move in the world. It's their energy, right? I'm pretty intense. I was always heavy-handed as a mother doing my children's hair, but I'm not just talking about me, okay? With Take Charge people can come credibility, professionalism, stubbornness. There's light and shadow aspects to all of that. With a softer energy person, people are usually more patient. They're a little slower. They take their time. They're more tender. You can look at people's different ways of parenting. You don't have to have a certified person to tighten your locks. Anybody can take a craft needle or a retightening tool, and you can teach them what you want them to know about how to retighten your locks. Or you can find somebody else who has a demeanor that is more in line with taking time, patience, tenderness. Maybe they are tender-headed themselves. There are plenty of people out there today who have people who do their hair and they have no soreness at all. And that actually matches the person's whole approach to life. So look into and feel into the energy of someone, because the quality of the work that they're doing on your hair, you're going to have a long-term consequences, good or bad. So that's something you really want to pay attention to. Is it too tight? Too many rotations? I see in this community, people, ladies, sisters, my perfect people, beautiful butterflies, are obsessed with that grid and obsessed with seeing all of it and seeing those parts. And when that hair is retightened, it is so tight on the hair that you may be getting away with it now, but long term, y'all, we're going to have a consequence to this. Okay? Don't retighten all the way to the scalp. The tightness of it is important. The number of rotations is important. Give yourself a little play in there. It's just not necessary, okay? It's not necessary. Next, be about the business of talking about your experience to your loctician very, very frequently, because it helps to raise awareness, not just for you, but for those people around you. The more that we have the conversation with our locticians, the more they will begin to integrate the shift that needs to be integrated into the way that they approach hair. Also, if you start having your locks to drop, it is so important to have that conversation with your loctician and to try to very gently draw the relationship between the retightenings and the hair loss. Okay, I'm tired of hearing about the genetics. I'm tired of hearing about some of these other things. I do not put stock in them. I know that there are genetic reasons why we have hair loss. I know that there are certain patterns to alopecia when it is related to stress. There are a lot of other dynamics that play in. Notwithstanding the fact that you know you need to eat right, you know you need to drink a lot of water, you need to supplement your diet with zinc and sulfur. That's one of my other items. You need to be making sure you're taking care of your energy all the way around. You need to watch out for medications. You need to take into consideration hormones. But how dare we look at all of those external factors and not be willing to look at the most obvious external factor, which is who's plowing that tool through your head every 8 weeks. We really need to come clean about that, y'all. You know, even with the trichologist certification that they have with the Sisterlocks company, we're looking at everything and talking about everything and bringing in an outside specialist and everything. We're talking about everything except the quality of the retightenings. Hello, I had no thinning, but then I've had these locks for 4 or 5 months. I've gotten 3 retightenings and suddenly I'm having locks to fall out. I don't have any of these problems, y'all. All right, I've been moving along my journey pretty well, and finally, after some years, I'm experiencing some lock loss. My mother has a head full of hair. My sisters have a head full of hair. I've never had any issues related to hair. I'm not dealing with any hormonal issues. We gotta be willing to look at this. And what I'm saying is, if it doesn't come from the people, from the mouthpiece for the brand, then it needs to come from us, and it needs to be something that we are talking about, because you can get to a point to where early in that journey you're able to remediate this. You're able to repair your hair follicles, you're able to generate and stimulate growth, and you're able to increase your hair strength. But you can go so long with this, and your scalp can be so beat up from the trauma that you're going to have a hard time trying to get back to maybe even where you were before. And nobody wants to lose their hair. It's a very traumatic thing. It's very traumatic, especially when you look at the long-term investment that you have made into your lock journey, the monthly or the every 2-3 month retightenings, the install. You love the look, the rest of your hair looks great, and you're watching these locks start to fall out. And by the time they start to fall out, you've already got a substantial issue. Okay, by the time they start to fall out, it's like by the time you get thirsty, you're already dehydrated, right? By the time you go to the doctor and the physical manifestation of a health imbalance is there, the energetic manifestation of that thing has already taken root, and it's far worse, or it's more progressed or graduated than just some superficial issue. So these are things that we have to keep an eye on. Assess the size of your locks. This is 7 or 8. Assess the size of your locks and whether or not that's appropriate for you. You might want thin locks. Maybe you can't afford to have thin locks. Maybe you have locks around the front that need to be combined. Maybe you have some locks that are too big. The weight is too much. There are just so many different factors to consider. You have to look at not how you want your hair to necessarily look at this time, but how can you best remediate a situation that you're having that is creating some dis-ease within you. So that is very, very important. The next thing I'm going to talk about, stop styling. I've had a few people send me text messages about hair loss, and you see their hair is like this. And they got some doggone cornrows and some other stuff going on. I mean, stop styling. If you're still pulling your hair back off your head and you've lost some locks, and you're not just gently like I do, I pull my hair up like this, and sometimes I'll tie it with another piece of hair, or I'll get a pipe cleaner, cut it into 3/4, and just do like this. My hair is never pulled. It's never pulled. I'm never pulling on these edges. Stop the styling stress. Stop the curls. Stop the cute style. Stop the cornrows. Stop pulling it up. Stop the ponytail. Stop the headbands. Just stop. Please stop. Apply products that strengthen your hair overall, that slow down hair loss and stimulate growth. When you put these products in, massage them in those areas, okay? Visualize hair growing in and assume that the hair is going to grow in, okay, and that there's no way that your prayers will not be answered. I do everything intentionally. That's how I live my life. The mind is very powerful. We are co-creators. We are not just victims here. Our body responds to the messages that we give it. The brain does not know the difference between reality and unreality, and it responds accordingly. We hold our reality in place, folks, by our thought processes. This is just a mass of energy. Ask me why I look the same every day when I wake up, or why you look the same, or why that 130 pounds, 150 pounds, we're trying to get down to 130. The only way we think we can do it is physically. So there are ways to operate out of the hair growth phenomena. There's nothing that this body does not regenerate and repair. We know now that even the brain structure can be rebuilt and modified. The liver regenerates. We used to think that the liver was the only organ that didn't really regenerate. That and the brain's ability to change. We know differently now. So if I get all new skin, all new organs, all new bodies, and why is my situation still the same? Okay, that's a provocative question for another day. But these are the things that you have to consider, all right? I mentioned the zinc and the sulfur, making sure you're taking supplements if you're not, making sure you're getting the folic acid in, making sure you're getting the B12 in, making sure that you're eating right, y'all. The body can only do but so much. We're not thinking right, you're not eating right, you're not taking care of your physical body. Soon enough, it's going to catch up with you, all right? So pay attention to those things. Those things are really important. The last thing I want to talk about, and I think I got everything on this. Yeah, I got everything on this list. The last thing I want to talk about, number 10, I think, is lighten the load on your locks. Look at your overall routine, ladies, and ask yourself, what are the different care components that are coming together to produce what my day-to-day or week-to-week or month-to-month routine is with my hair? I wash. Am I washing too frequently? Okay, do I need to braid and band? Have I stopped braiding and banding? Maybe I need to consider braiding and banding to brace my hair. Am I washing too vigorously? I would say most people wash too much. Because I use these oils, they're antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-funk, I don't wash my hair that much. You can look at my scalp, and y'all already know the creation of this product here came about because of issues all up in here. All right, that nobody telling me I didn't need oil on my hair were going to resolve. As long as I'm using that, at any time I can open up my scalp, and 9 times out of 10, and I need a retightening. Y'all can see my hair is clean. All right, my scalp is dandruff free, is itch free. it is clean. I don't need to be washing my hair as often as I need to. And many of us, with the quality of water that we have in our homes today, unless you're going to Flovilla or you're using alkaline water or you're doing something else in your hair care routine, that water is stripping your hair, and it may actually be degrading the quality and strength of the integrity of your hair. So washing your hair every 2-3 weeks to me is way too much. I don't wash my hair that often. Most of the time I wash my hair right before I get a retightening. Most of the time. I have lengthened out my routine for washing. I will at least wash it one time in between that time. Okay, usually it'll be like I'm going to wash my hair. I have an appointment with Efrage in 14 days, I think. Yeah, maybe a little bit less than 14 days, maybe 12 days. I'll wash my hair probably in a week, ready to go in. All right. The load, the weight of your hair. My locks are getting long, okay? I've been using more of my own oil on my hair for the last month and a half. Okay, it's growing faster, but I'm using a lot more of it, more than twice a week, so I can feel the difference in the weight, which means that when I wash my hair, I need to thoroughly make sure everything is washed out so that my locks are light. If you're putting products in your hair, washing your hair thoroughly, washing it multiple times. That was the issue that I had a couple, 3 years ago, y'all. Remember when I was considering cutting my hair? All right, and my hair has gotten several inches longer since then, but at that time it was heavy, it was a nuisance, it was a pain because I was using heavier oils on my hair, and then I was not washing my hair thoroughly. It was just more than what my hair actually needed, even though my hair was growing like weeds. So are you washing too much? Okay, are you at night, if your hair is thinning, are you using a satin cap? Are you putting something on your head to keep this in place in the evening time? All right, what other kinds of things are you doing? I have the washout, I have the products, I have the situation with the grid. That's a big thing. I already talked about it. Are you more concerned about seeing those parts than you are about the parts, the hair themselves that make up the parts, and the fact that it's abuse? All right, the pulling, the tugging, that sort of thing. Also, are you detangling your married locks along the journey? Never try to detangle locks without spraying something that helps you detangle them. If they're married and your hair is already thinning, you can't afford to just sit there and start pulling the locks apart. You have to take the time, and you really have to put something on them that helps to soften and make the hair more pliable, and you have to do it more often. Maybe you have to unmarry your locks every 3 or 4 weeks. You may not be able to go just right before the retightening. All right, so observe how your hair is responding just to the very basic things you're doing. If you're dyeing, you need to stop because your hair is already weakened. If you are planning to dye and your hair is already thinning, you can't afford to dye your hair. You need to stop. If you're using rollers, okay, if you're putting any type of heat on your hair, you need to stop. These are all kinds of things that have to do with your normal routine that you might be taking for granted, that you want to kind of release. Maybe your loctician does your locks and you do the front part of your hair. Sometimes it can come to that. Why? Because maybe you can be more gentle than your loctician. Maybe even after you've told her several times, you still are not satisfied with the fact that your hair can handle that level of stress. Maybe your hair needs to be babied for a while. Maybe you need to go without a retightening. Okay, maybe there's something else that you need to do in the way of, protecting your hair. And when I say go without a retightening, I don't mean just don't get one. What I'm talking about is lengthening the period between the retightenings, or not allowing that person to do the retightening and considering someone else, or seeing if you can just make an appointment on a separate day just for the top so that person can have that amount of time to just do the top. But it needs to be a long-term solution because it's not cheap, and it needs to be something that you can afford to keep up. So I had someone to tell me the other day they just stopped and they're doing their own hair now, and that to me is a sacrifice worth making. So the video is getting kind of long. Y'all know I can talk all day long. I love to talk about the Sisterlock journey. It's been a beautiful journey for me. I wouldn't do anything differently. I'm loving my hair and where I am on this journey right now. And my hair should be much longer than it is, but I've done so many different things to my hair, especially with taking out locks, pulling off the tips and things, trying to keep the curly ends, the lint and all of that. But my hair feels good. It's still strong, even with the multiple number of dyes and so forth that I've used on my hair. And I'm happy with it. At the level that it's at, I've gotten out a good majority of the lint. I don't pick as profusely and as obsessively as I used to, and I use my oil on my hair. I don't use conditioner. I wash my hair with that Dr. Bronner's, 3 parts water, 1 part Dr. Bronner. I add a few essential oils, shake the bad boy up. I wash my hair with that. You guys know that. The only other shampoo I've used in my hair for the most part over these years is when I've dyed my hair and I use a shampoo that comes as a part of the neutralizing shampoo that comes as a part of the hair dye that I might be using, like Vidal Sassoon or L'Oreal or something like that. But other than that, really the only product that I use on my hair is the hair oil. And I think that if something's working, use that. If you find sometimes it feels a little stale, leave that alone for a minute and then come back to it. See how your hair responds. Because we do need variety. We need variety in the products we use on our skin, on our face. Sometimes it takes something just to give yourself a break. It takes you to just give yourself a break in order to revive the efficacy of something. So I hope that this video helps you in some way. I hope that you have some idea with regard to how to avoid losing your locks, what particular things could be contributing to you losing locks, and not losing hope with the whole process altogether, and trusting yourself with whatever decision that you make. So you're with Tanisha Ali, hoping you benefited from the video. Check me out again on IamMelaninMagic.com. If you want to order the oil from me directly, just shoot me a text. You don't have to call. I typically don't have time to speak on the phone, like pick up the phone during my work days and that sort of thing. Plus it takes up a lot of time from me really being able to respond effectively. So if there's a question that you have related to something, just shoot me a text. If you are interested in the oil, shoot me a text, 678-438-6442. I love you guys. Thank you for all your support. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day, and I will talk to you again soon.